Hello everybody, this is the Gruesome Fox coming at you with a match here in the Gundam. This is going to be a 400 cost rated match here, and we're going to be on Impact Sites area. And I wanted to do this video here as sort of like a follow-up to the last video I made on the Gundam back from 6 months ago, believe it or not. That was when the suit got buffed in the June 2023 unit adjustments, and what I said in the last video I made of it, buffed in quotation marks, because I had found the buffs to be very disappointing, which was sort of a first, I think, when it came to me actually making a video centered around a suit getting buffed. Usually when I make a, insert suit got buffed, I'll usually have a lot of positive things to say about it. I'll rarely find, either really find negatives that the suit didn't have already, which were maybe intentional for gameplay purposes, or it would be more like, oh, well, there's a few things that maybe they could have changed, but for the most part, I would have an overwhelming positivity towards it. The Gundam, though, was really the exception to that, which can be seen in the title of that video, which was The Buffed Gundam Needs Another Buff. And, yeah, I still feel like some of that still applies with this suit, especially with the changes we've been seeing in 400 to 500 recently. 400, not as much. I think in its native cost, it can still kind of get away with, being a viable pick. But at 450 and 500, the scene is definitely changing quickly, especially if we take the most recent Engage stuff into consideration. We have the Engage Zero Token Pack suit, which is a really good general, and at 500 we have the Engage Zero with Booster, which is a heavy attack raid, and then for the next week we're going to be having the High Mobility Camphor, which is a 500 cost general, so a lot of stuff in those departments to look into, and just in comparison, yeah, the Gundam there just does not really feel like it's going to hold up that well. And kind of as a reference for this, I want to take, not really take a look, but mention another video I made directly after that Gundam video, which was the buffed Despada. And the Despada, if you know how I felt about that suit when it came out, my opinions on it were very mixed. But then they did the buff for it in that same June 2023 unit adjustments, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I really liked the Despada after that. And in a similar situation to the Gundam, this video also got its own unique title. It wasn't called the buffed Despada, it was the Despada feels great now. Great being in all caps. So, yeah, that's just kind of the comparison there to how I felt about both of those suit buffs that again came out around the same time. So, yeah, the Gundam now, though, playing at its native cost, it's still fun. But like I said, I don't know at the higher cost if it's really going to be able to get away with, just kind of existing. There was some benefits to the buff too that actually help it at the higher cost as well. One of those being the sensor pod sub-weapon that was added. But the thing with that is, at 400 you do have the Isaac and the Pixie. Those are both really the suits that you'd really have, that would make the most use out of that skill. But I feel like at 450 and 500, you have a few more options that could maybe apply for that. I do know you have the Black Rider, that is one that could qualify for that. You do also have the Jim Spartan Black Dog. I think that might also be one that it can maybe mess with a bit. You have the Ifrit Noct as well, but I feel like the Ifrit Noct is a suit I really don't see as much anymore compared to the Pixie. When it comes to stealth suits, at least at 400, or not even at 400, I feel like there's been a lot of 600 rooms as well. Well, see one pop up, which kind of spawned the whole joke saying of it's always the Pixies, but yeah, Pixies definitely going to be the main thing there, but yeah, just at a different cost. I feel like there's other suits that sensory pod skill could really help it, but at the same time though, The Gundam just needs a bit more for what it has going on. Maybe some better Vulcans. I think some better Vulcans would be the number one thing. They already buffed the beam rifle when they buffed it initially, though to be fair, most of those were towards the higher cost, towards the level 2 and 3 beam rifle. So the one is good enough to where they didn't need to buff it, or it was just a case of maybe they didn't have enough data and just wanted to at least play the level 1 version safe and not give it too much. So I think the beam rifle is in a good spot though, because it can do stuns on an uncharged shot, and then if you do the charged shot, I think it does like 3 times the damage, so you are able to still do some pretty decent damage against generals, and it does have piercing as well, so if that's another thing you kind of know how to take advantage of, then you can make this suit work in that aspect. But they didn't buff anything else about it, not the beam saber or anything with its melee, which might be understandable as it is more of a sniper unit, so they probably didn't want to touch that, even though I do feel like it being able to boost and go straight into melee would be a good thing to just kind of compensate for the lack of weapons it has. Another thing would possibly be better Vulcans, maybe just maybe give its own Vulcans that can stun a bit easier. That could be something. That would be something I wouldn't mind seeing, because if you do have a raid pursuing you, one of the things I think this suit has as an advantage is that the Gundam is a bit faster. At least it feels like it's faster compared to other supports. And it does also have some hops as well, so it does have advantages in mobility, so just having some good stunning Vulcans to kind of keep a raid off of you, I think would be a pretty nice little change they could do there. But aside from that, yeah, the sensor pod is just a sensor pod. I don't think they're ever going to do anything with that, even though I don't think it really needs to do much. My suggestion back then was to give it spotting, but as I kind of looked at that, I'm like, well, that might defeat the purpose of people picking the Isaac, so that is another reason if I can understand why they didn't want to give it the spotting skill. They wanted to leave that kind of area of effect version to the one suit that already had it, and since the Isaac and this suit do share the same cost, again, it's a pretty understandable reason as to why they would not want to have too many suits at a similar cost that would have too many similarities. So I can get that one, but yeah, we're nearing the last 20 seconds of the match here, and just kind of wrap up my thoughts. Yeah, low cost, it's fine, can use some work, but it's not the worst thing. It's still a suit that I really like to get out on occasion, but again, like when I compare it to the Despada that was buffed at the same time, I just kind of wish they gave it a bit more to really bring it up to the times of the evolving meta. And before I finish my final thoughts here real quick, gonna look at the score here. Mission completed. And didn't get anyone on the board, but looks like I did beat my rival. I'm going to send a few praises around. And 5th place overall with 5 kills and 2 loss. Not too shabby there for the Gundam, especially in a rated match. That's kind of what surprised me a bit more here, since I was doing the rated limited missions. So, yeah, pretty fun match there, but yeah, again, it's still one of my favorite suits, and at least at its native cost, I'll be willing to take it out. 450 and 500 might be maybes. It might be more of a quick match thing. I don't know if I want to take the Gundam into 500, because I'm pretty sure if I did, people would just start purposely leaving the lobby at that point, thinking I'm trying to throw the game, so probably something I want to avoid there. That's going to be the end of this video here. Comment down below what you think about the Gundam. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and with that, I will see you all in the next one. Later.